Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not, and happy Friday the 13th. I decided when I was making my schedule, which I've changed a couple times now, not my fault. Movies get scratched and don't work, so I had to do something else. I decided I was going to start doing a revisited series on the Friday the 13th movies, but only on the Friday the 13th. So you'll get one this year. Excuse me. I don't know what I choked on something. But you get one this year and then two next year. There's one in January, one in October of next year. So we're starting with the original one. And the reason I'm redoing it is, I like, what am I going to do for Friday the 13th? Although I didn't have any ideas other than, I can go back. Because I did these literally on my first year of YouTube. And if you watch some of my videos from my first year of YouTube, I kind of just like to ramble a little bit. This is why some of the ones I've done on my first year, I'm going to redo to have better quality. Have my current ranking system, or rating system, whatever. I can't speak English, I guess. Rating system, and just, do better. But, yes. Rewatching this. Oh boy, this was a rough watch, I guess. I never realized how many times there is a lull in the movie where it's just like, I'll explain. Like, if you don't know my format for revisited reviews, I don't normally go scene for scene. I just sort of talk about the movie because but I've already done a regular review and spoilers are out there. This movie is, 40 something years old? 42 years old. So it's, it's out there. You know who the killer is. You know what's going on. You don't know. Go away. Because I don't want you to spoil it. Watch my original review on how stupid and rambling I am, and then come back and watch this one. Or watch the movie, for God's sake. That makes more sense than watching my review, because I do spoil it in that one too. Who cares? So, the story with Friday the 13th was very simple. Sean S. Cunningham, who is the director of this film, was told by Paramount, let's rip off Halloween. And it's not really a blatant rip off. Like, I was thinking about this. I'm like, there's not really a Loomis character, but you could consider Crazy Ralph a sort of Loomis, although he doesn't do not even half as much as what Loomis does, not even a quarter of what Loomis does in that movie. No monologues. He just like, you're doomed. You never make it back again. Really, that's what he is. And then he has a jump scare in a pantry, and then he disappears. And we're not such a good Crazy Ralph. What? Okay, so there's the scene before this where the cop shows up looking for him, and then comes out dressed like the Native American, which, yes, it's racist. Old movies like this, you're gonna get stuff like that, and you're just gonna have to be like, okay, can we move on? Because stuff like that, and, But then he's like, well, I'm looking for Ralph. He's the old town crazy, and then he just gets a phone call and leaves. Like, but how much looking did he actually do? Because we find out that Ralph is not only in the pantry, but he's like, comes out of there, and he's just gets on his bike, which is right by the tree outside the cabin. Nobody saw the bike there before, and was like, whose bike is this? No, the cop didn't notice it. He just gets on the bike and pedals away. He's gone from this movie, but it's just like, wait, why is his bike just right there if he's hiding? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Make no sense. But this film is notable for starting the career of one Kevin Bacon, and he's famous for his 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which he did not like at first. If I remember correctly, I think he doesn't really look back fondly on this. Like, I don't think they even got him back for the documentary, or so, like, Memories. I don't think that they ever got him back for it, but he's Mr. Big Movie Star now. But yeah, I remember the first time I watched this, I'm like, that's Kevin Bacon. I didn't know he was in this picture, but yeah, And the whole thing, I said this in my original review, if I remember correctly, but I was actually kind of surprised that Mrs. Voorhees was the killer, because I thought the thing in Scream where it's like, wrong, it was his mother, Mrs. Voorhees. I thought it was a joke the first time I heard that. I'm like, oh, how funny is his mother? What kind of movie would do that? But this movie is apparently it was his mother, which is on paper sounds like a stupid idea. In retrospect, like, maybe when they were writing this, it was fine. Oh, it's the mother of some kid who was killed. But years later, you say, oh, the Jason Voorhees wasn't the killer in part one, it was his mom. And you're like, no, really. No, really. That, after all these years of Jason being a killer, it does sound kind of stupid. And if they had handled it better, maybe it would have worked. Like, Betsy Palmer, nothing to her. She's a great performance. She's great. It's just how they handled. So, it's a whodunit. And in whodunits, you gotta kind of put out red herrings. Crazy Ralph was one of them, but he disappears partway through the film, and you never get the sense that it was actually him. Another one is Steve Christie, but you're kind of pretty sure it's not him either. So there's no real red herrings of who it could be, although you could say it might be Bill, because he does wear the flannel shirt thing. And I did catch something when Ned sees someone going into the cabin. It kind of from behind looks like Bill, because it was actually Tom Savini who did the gore effects on this. And I said horror, even though it sounded like horror effects, but gore effects on this film. It was Tom Savini did most of the stunt work in this. Including the arrow going through Kevin Bacon's neck, which actually didn't work, and they had to have his buddy Tatso Stuffed Rockets blow through the thing to get the blood to come out the right way. And on the topic of the gore, it's good, but there's a lot of cutaway, and then you see the aftermath, or with Annie's kill at the beginning. Goes in front of the camera when it goes to kill, and then you just see the slit and the blood coming out. It's like, okay, but it's nothing compared to the later entries in this film, when the MPA just gave the big old middle finger to this franchise and said, nope, you can't show nothing. Ugh. Fuck the MPAA. But yeah, and really, the kills are fine. Okay, so the biggest question everyone who's watched this movie has had is, what the fuck happened to Brenda? Because we see her go out to the archery range, the light goes on, it cuts, and the next time we see her, she's flying through a goddamn window, at first looking like the back of Tom Savini, and then looking like herself. And there's no marks, no cuts, no any kind of indication she was strangled, nothing. She's just dead. And it's like, how did she die? To this very day, 42 fucking years later, we still don't know. No idea how she died. She's just dead. That's the confusing. That's that could be a video in its own. Unanswered questions in the Friday the 13th franchise, how did Brenda die? Is Paul dead? How the hell did Jason go from Camp Crystal Lake all the way to fucking New York? Because on a boat. But how is Camp Crystal Lake connected to a fucking ocean? There's a lot of questions. Why is Jason all of a sudden a weird little gooey thing that can hop from body to body? Where the hell did Creighton Duke come from? There's a lot of unanswered questions that I probably should have done that first, but I don't know. It is but anyhow, there are times in this film, there's some decent stuff in this film, but I feel like there's too many, when they were filming it, they were the script, it's too short, so we gotta put, there are elongated scenes of them walking around. There's a scene where they walk in. Like, at the beginning, there's a bunch of scenes of them, messing around and stuff. That's fine. But then there's a scene, like, they actually kill a snake. If that was an actual snake they killed. There's a scene where they have to go check on the power generator, and they just they just focus on the light bulb turning on. It's like, you really need that shot? Like, because it starts with her, like, messing with the light bulb, and it just starts a shot of that. And like, oh, and Kevin Bacon's like, oh, Steve showed me how to work the backup generator. And they go back, and they do that, and then they focus on the light bulb again, and it turns on, and it's like, okay. And then there's an extended scene where, what's her name? The final girl in this. We'll get to her. Forget her name. That's not Annie. That's the first one that dies, but whatever. She's making tea, and we see her fill the pot with water and put it on the stove, and then she goes into the freaking. She goes into the pantry. And she walks into the pantry. And she grabs some sugar, and she comes on out, and she opens up the sugar, and she puts it in 1 scoop, 2 scoop, puts it back on, and then she sits it to the side, and then she decides to walk out and try to find her boyfriend. And it's just elongated. Why did you include this in the movie? Because I had to get to the 95-minute runtime. You know what? You could take those 5 minutes out that you just threw in there, and it could just be 90 minutes, I don't know. It just, a lot of elongated stuff. And even when it picks up, after Betsy Palmer is revealed, and that's another thing we'll get to, it doesn't pick up. Like she has a little monologue about, oh, they were making love and they weren't paying attention. And he wasn't a very good swimmer. And then, like, first of all, I have to get to the reveal later, but like, she runs off. They have a little confrontation. She runs off and she hides, and we spend another extended time of her closing the drapes in the windows, looking around, taking a rope, tying it, putting it on the door, and then putting something in front of it. And by the way, this wouldn't work. The door was a pull-out door, by evidence of how she hooked up the rope. Door handles on this side, rope coming down this way. Door handles on this side, comes around, ropes like this, which means it's pulling this side. So, when they do that, I think it's pulling from that side. It appeared like that. She's putting stuff in front of her, so even if Mrs. Voorhees is able to break that, the rope, right? There's stuff in front. Kick it out of the fucking way. What? Come on. You're not blocking out anything. And then she goes into the other room and she starts closing the drapes again. It's like, really, we gotta extend this? And then Brenda comes through the window and you think, okay, it's gonna pick up. No, because then there's another thing where she goes out and she runs and she gets to the boat and she's sitting there in the boat. And it's like, push it out into the lake, push it out into the, I gotta sit here. Until Mrs. Voorhees shows up and then we get the decapitation. But it's very drawn out. It's very drawn out. Now, two characters I want to talk about. Alice, I just remembered her fucking name. Alice, the final girl. She's only a final girl because she was the last one left. And I will say that in the past I have said the same thing about Laurie Strode because, to me a final girl is someone who kicks ass throughout the movie and has that final girl circuit thing. There are a lot of final girls that are just there because they're the last ones. But Alice is the biggest example of only a final girl because she was the last one left. There's no indication, we follow all the characters, wherein in Halloween we follow Laurie a lot more than we do Alice in this. We follow all the characters and she's just the one left. She's not the main character, she's just the only main character left. And then there's Betsy Palmer. Fantastic performance, but like I said with the reveal of it's supposed to be a whodunit, her reveal, it's like when she's revealed, Alice is just standing there and she comes up to her and she's like, oh, I'm Pamela Voorhees. I'm a friend of the Christies. And she goes up and she hugs her like she's safe, and I'm like, no. Look. Okay, first, it's very confusing because she just threw Brenda. Okay, so she was killing everyone, and she threw Brenda through the window, and all of a sudden she pulls up in her Jeep, right? Like, so she threw Brenda through the window. First of all, how's she have that strength? And then you could say maybe the rope, I don't know. And then she runs through her car, her Jeep turns out on, and drives up. And it's like, well, why do that? Why? It's like, from a standpoint of a serial killer, which I'm not, to be completely, clear, I'm not. But from the standpoint, if you are a serial killer and you want to kill this person, why would you wait and deliver a monologue and risk her getting away other than just, here's the thing, like, from one point, you could do the car thing, turn on the headlights, you're like, huh? And then come from behind and just, dead, then drive off. Everyone's dead, you've completed, you finished your thing. But no, because this is a movie, you need to monologue and give the people at home a reason why she's doing this. Her son drowned it. Her mongoloid son, Jason, drowned it. Right? And that's why she's doing this. Even though none of these people have anything to do with that, she's just dead set on not having the camp reopening in. So there's that. But, yeah. Excuse me. In my throat. And her death is probably one of the best kills. It's a decapitation, even though you can't see it's a man's hands. Like I said, Tom Savini does most of the stunt work in the film, so you see like the hands. That's why you think it's a man. And then later it's her. Oh, it's a twist. And you're thinking, wait a minute, how could it be her? Because she's wearing something different. Well, if you pay attention, she does have the flannel underneath her blue sweater. So you can tell. Yeah, let me get the end of the movie. Right? The end of the movie, which is Alice decapitates Miss Voorhees. She gets in the boat, and she's laying there. She's got her hand in, and then, boom! Jason pops out of the water, pulls her in, and then she wakes up in a hospital. It was all, as Nelly once said, it was only just a dream. But then we get this line from her, oh, then he's still there. And that was just a line. Sean Cunningham has come out and said that was just a line. He was never intended to still be alive. But then they decided, fuck it, we need to make money off of this. Jason to come back, which I can think of other ways to do a sequel. One, you can have Crazy Ralph be the killer. Two, it could be Pamela Voorhees' husband, or her other child, or a relative, or just someone else. Another killer. It could be a relative of Steve Christie, and you could have Alice in the movie more, and it makes sense to get more revenge. Or it could just be another killer, or a psychopath, or something. But you say it has to be Jason? Sure, it's the one that makes the most sense, I guess, but Jason was dead. Hold on. Excuse me. Fuck, that's what I was talking about. But yeah, Jason was the obvious choice, I guess. Even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it caused Tom Savini to leave the sequel and go to the much better than this one, not than part 2, but better than this one movie, The Burning, which has been compared to the first Friday the 13th and is the better of the two. This Friday the 13th movie has never been in the conversation of, is it the best Friday the 13th? No, it's not. It's a cheaply made rip-off of Halloween, literally done to rip off Halloween. There's a lot of meandering. There's not a lot of, exciting moments. Even at the end during the thing, it's just like, we get a little bit of fight between the two, and then she runs again, and then we have to meander some more. Because you have to bring out to a 95-minute fucking runtime for some reason. I don't hate this movie, but it's not one that I go back. I just splashed soda on my foot. How the hell did that work? My foot's all the way down there. But it's not one I go back and watch. So I'm going to rewatch a Friday the 13th movie. Like when Friday the 13th comes around, I want to watch a Friday the 13th movie. It's going to be 2, 4, or 6. I'll even go like 7, 8, and 9 maybe. Even 3. But this one, probably not. Probably not. This is one of the franchises that I want to show my son, but I can't unless it's on TV because there be boobies in these movies. Like, oh, that's another thing. So something caught my eye when I was watching this. I don't know why, but there's the scene with Marcy and Kevin Bacon, right? They have the sex, the bang boom, the two for tangle, and then the next scene they're laying in bed and Kevin Bacon has his hand on one of Marcy's boobies the entire time. Like he's laying there, like he was told, Kevin, we can only have one of her tits hanging out, so just cover the other one the entire time. They're going to give us like X rating if we have both out. That's what it seems like, is he just won't let go until she gets up and it's not facing the camera anymore. It's really weird. Like he was told to just hold on. I'm sure he's not just doing that to hold on to it because, well then again, it is Kevin Bacon. Who knows? But, I don't know. It's just very weird that it's like that. It's the only boob we get in this film. But there's throughout others. I could show him part 6 because there is no boobs in that one. There's a sex scene, but it's not really a sex scene. She's just sitting on top of him. And you don't see nothing. And with music playing, this looks like she's bouncing on top of him dancing. I wouldn't even have to even say anything. Unless he asks, why is she bouncing on him? Exercise. So, yeah. But, like, there is other ones that have boobs in it. Unless they're on TV, I'm not going to show him. There are a limit to what kind of horror movies I will show him. There's nudity. Like, for instance, and we watched the Leprechaun movies. We watched a couple. They were all on TV. But Leprechaun 2 and 3 are the ones, well, 2, 3, and 4. But they're the first ones that had the nudity in it. And there's one scene of Leprechaun 2 where What's-His-Face takes Bridget home. And the Leprechaun conjures up a fake Bridget and she opens it up. And it's on TV. But I wasn't sure how they were going to do it because the Sci-Fi Channel likes to just blur them. And I got in trouble one year from my grandmother because I was watching Leprechaun 3 and they just blurred them. And she's like, what are you watching? What are you doing? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm 20 fucking years old. But second of all, like, because my brother was in the room. I'm like, they're blurred. Well, you can still see the shape of them. And my mom once told me, hey, because my sister freaked out about a Harpy Lady Yu-Gi-Oh card because her boobs are out apparently. And my mom said, well, you can't see the nipple, it's okay. So if you can't see the nipple, it's fine. But just so I didn't get in trouble, I told him to look at me. And I took off my glasses, by the way, so he didn't see the reflection. I said, just look at me. Just look at me. It was less than 5 minutes of the scene. But, yeah. But you couldn't say anything. But I'm not going to show him anything with nudity. Because I'm a good dad. But, yeah. So he has not seen any nudity from me, anyway. When it comes to movies. Or anything else. But, I'm just saying. He's seen Friday the 13th Part 2. Part 7 on TV. All on like Sci-Fi or AMC. So, he's going to be a little horror. And that's the thing. And I'm going off on a tangent. I know I am. But people are saying, oh, don't bring your kids to see Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness because it has horror in it. You people underestimate what your kids can actually handle. when it comes to horror. And people are even saying, oh, they're overreacting on this. It's not even like it's horror, but it's nothing big. So it's like, what can your kids handle? My kid can handle horror. Like he's watched horror movies with me. Like I said, he lived on a farm where they butchered cows and pigs and chickens and stuff. So gore ain't gonna affect him. No amount of gore could ever affect this boy. He's literally stood there and watched chickens and cows and pigs get butchered. I think he's desensitized, don't you? I'm just saying. The only thing that I think would, is nudity. That's where I draw it. I'm not going to show any movie with nudity. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, back to Friday the fucking 13th, okay? Because we're getting way off on the tangent here. I think it's a decently made movie, but it's not one of the higher ones. I'm going to give it a middle of the road. It sits in the middle of the road for me because I just think that it could have gone better, and it did do it better in some subsequent sequels that we'll talk about when that comes around. But it's fine. It's not one I'm going to reach for, like I said before, but it's fine. Middle of the road, right? So what are your thoughts on Friday the 13th? I'm going to comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.